Hi, everyone. Just going to give an update on who else I see on the line. I see Commissioner Chandler Henry. I see Daryl Branson, Jim Finlayson, Chad. And then are there a couple other folks that I haven't called on that are on the line?
Joel Estes.
Okay. Hey, Carl, I have you there.
Okay.
Lyle Moore.
Yep, Lyle, I have you. Thanks.
Hey, Kim, Tracy Murdoch's here.
Hi, Tracy. I have you down as well. Before I had Jack Cobb, Tracy, Carl, Lyle, Joe Rivero, and Paula. So. In the room with us are Don Nacarado, Brian Shepard, Ed Mills, Tony Neal Graves, Mark Kraft, Sarah Smith, and myself.
Joel Estes.
Hi, Joel. Thanks. I don't see him yet. Chief Tate, are you on yet? Or Bob Pfeiffer? You may be running the meeting then, Brian.
Kim, can you see my screen?
Yes. Yes. Am I missing anyone that hasn't? I see a couple of out-of-area phone numbers. I'm just not sure if you've already acknowledged. So. Okay, then we should go ahead and get started.
All right. Well, since Chief or Bob are not on, I'll go ahead and call the what is this? July Firstnet Governing Board Governing Body meeting to order at 2:32. Do we have a quorum?
Yes.
We do have a quorum. Okay. So since we have a quorum, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the June meeting? We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Is there any changes or any conversation on the minutes? Okay.
Joe is just dialing back in. He has a bad connection. He just sent us a message.
Okay. All in favor of adopting the minutes?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we've adopted the minutes. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the updates. And Kim, I'll let you lead with the update.
Sure. Few items under Firstnet Updates. We had the state plan meeting last week on Wednesday, July 12th. It ended up being at about a 3.5-hour meeting, and I think we had around, between the phone and in person and all of the groups, over 50 people. So I would consider it a great turnout. And everybody who participated had already been provided and accessed the secure state plan portal. We're finalizing the notes that Sarah took. She took some great notes, and we'll send those out to the group for those folks who weren't able to make it. I would say the bulk of the conversation was around coverage, probably solid 2 hours. And then the rest of the meeting, we did talk about cyber, we talked about devices and applications a little bit. I left there at the end with
It's kind of a continued around coverage.
Yeah.
Coverage.
Yeah.
So as a result of that meeting, well, first let me give an opportunity. Does anybody who attended that meeting want to speak about their impressions of it or any thoughts in general? Tracy, can I put you on the spot from Firstnet's perspective? And I know we'll be doing a follow-up meeting on August 1st, which I will talk about. But did Firstnet or AT&T have any thoughts?
Oh, we appreciate the active questions and involvement. And so no, I mean, nothing further to add. If you're happy, then we're happy. And there were the takeaways, like having a specific coverage meeting on August 1st, which we're moving forward in that direction. Got that? No, nothing further to add.
Okay. Sorry, someone go ahead.
Was there anything mentioned, or was there, it had to be part of the discussion about the question about Union Wireless not being a partner? Was that addressed?
Yeah, Chad, basically the AT&T folks said that they are in negotiations with Union right now. They were optimistic they would come to an agreement. But essentially what they said is if they cannot come to an agreement with Union, they will still be on the hook for the coverage in Union's area. We asked kind of about more specifics about what that might look like, and they didn't go down that path. So that's something we can ask at our follow-up meeting on the 1st.
And it was also in the letter, which we'll address in just a moment.
Okay. And then maybe this is a repeat too. So if you can give a quick answer, that's fine. I'll accept it. But was there anything addressed about the right now? I experience a significant slowdown or turn down of data coverage when I leave Vero and get into the AT&T roaming agreements, or I guess the AT&T area as a result of the roaming agreements. My data coverage is significantly slow, and as I understand it, that's a result of the negotiations between Vero and AT&T. Has that been addressed as well? Would it also work in the opposite direction if we, for example, were to switch to Firstnet that is on AT&T's network and have to rely on a roaming agreement with Vero? Would it work in the opposite direction as well, or has that been addressed?
I think kind of yes and no, Chad. So it did come up. We talked about that a little bit in terms of the performance between AT&T's roaming partners and themselves. They didn't go into a whole lot of specifics. That will probably be something we do add into our request for the final state plan. Is what are some of the technical minimum parameters that these agreements will maintain, so that we will know exactly what. I can't imagine they will show us the exact agreements they have, but one of the things we can ask for is what are those boundaries, so that we can model an anticipated data throughput on all networks. So.
Perfect, thanks.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. So partially in response to the meeting, and then actually a document we had been working on prior to the meeting, based on analysis by our team in Signals Analytics. If you want to cut to that letter, Ed, thanks. So Chief Tate and Brian worked with us to draft a letter indicating all of the information we believe the state plan lacks, or if it's in the state plan, we were not able to find it. So we will qualify that. And that we believe this information is necessary for Colorado to do a thorough and objective assessment. Some examples of that information are detailed coverage information on site. The reason we posit that this information is needed is to be able to actually verify the coverage that AT&T is proposing, and because the maps right now only allow you to click and view. They give you no understanding of what you're actually seeing with regards to performance of the network. In addition, if a state opts out, they're required to provide this exact information to Firstnet and AT&T. So it seems logical that there would be some requirement to provide that information to a state as if they desire to do that assessment. If for some reason that information is not available, we've asked, again, under NDA, we're fine with doing it as well. Understanding an actual deployment plan, many of the common comments we've gotten is that there's no plan. What do people read to understand what the plan is with regards to deployment? And so in lieu of that information, at a minimum, then we would like site deployment, IOC 1 through FOC, number of sites added, percentage of population covered, and geography covered per IOC and FOC, reflective of the existing AT&T network, which they will offer priority preemption on, as well as the Band 14 network, wherever it ends up being deployed in the state. We talk in detail to Chad's point about roaming relationships and understanding, you'll see in that bullet number 3, I think covers this question, prioritization parameters, and how we ensure that public safety doesn't receive a degraded service depending on that roaming relationship. We ask for more detail about deployables. We ask for more information on the cost and services piece. We ask for Other details, again, I won't belabor this, regulatory information, high-powered devices, KPIs. Again, in an opt-out situation, there are extensive KPIs that a state is responsible for reporting, so we'd like to understand what will be shared with states so that they can ensure AT&T and Firstnet are accountable to the contractual relationship they've created with users and the commitment that they've made for the state. Device road mapping, more information on that, network hardening, questions that we asked in the RFP process that were not answered, and then network policies. When we did a deep dive on the network policies that are in the state plan state, and it could be that they will be added in the final version, there were dozens of them that a state is being held accountable to, but we don't know what the content is yet. So this letter was sent, again, on the governing body's behalf. As we've all had conversations with you on these topics, and Tracy, you did receive the letter, right?
I did receive the letter. It has been forwarded. There were some questions of this. So this was sent, you sent us on Monday, and we met with you on just the previous week, and why wasn't this all brought up in that meeting? So that was just one of the questions that I was asked, and I didn't have an answer.
Because we hadn't finalized it yet. So, and some of this came as outputs of the meeting as well. So.
Okay, so that was just a little bit of, okay, we just dedicated this, all these people, and now there continues to be more. So, but we did receive the letter. Okay,
and I think we did perhaps beat a dead horse about coverage and exactly some of these concerns during the meeting. So, you know, especially the veracity of the maps, you know, not to rehash it now, but.
Right, but you're still asking for a response to these questions, so.
Actually, Tracy, we did ask for this. We asked for a lot of this information to be part of that meeting. We asked for specific site locations to both you and Garrett several times. We asked for SINAR. We asked for throughput levels. We asked for all that to be part of the meeting that we had.
Right. Oh, on the one that's coming up on August 1st, or the one that was previously?
No, we asked for a large chunk of this, especially the technical coverage data. We asked you guys that this is what we expected out of the meeting that we had.
Right. So, I'm just saying that we had the meeting, and it was like, are there any other questions? Nope, everything's good. We're going to follow up on coverage and security. And then this immediately came after, and it was just a little, wow, what's going on?
Tracy,
but the point is that I do have the letter. It's been received and it's been forwarded, and I know that we have a couple other meetings we're trying to coordinate with y'all.
Well, no, but I guess my point is we specifically asked for a lot of the information that contains in this letter before the meeting. We asked for that information to be discussed in our meeting. That information was not discussed in the meeting. For example,
it's too bad then that during that meeting that you didn't say we want to make sure before you leave the room that we have this, so that we had all that knowledge there. And so, but I don't want to go there. We've got it. We're doing our best to support you with the information that you have, and we'll just continue to go forward from there.
We did, Tracy. In the meeting, we said multiple times we would like site locations, throughput, coverage modeling data. We said that multiple times in the meeting to AT&T. So, okay, let's go on.
All right. So as a result of that meeting, one thing that was offered by Gertie Charles with AT&T is the ability to have an in-depth coverage meeting. So that meeting has been scheduled for August 1st. It is required to be an in-person only meeting, so anybody who wants to attend from governance body, we do need to ask you to attend in person, and the grant can reimburse your costs if you're outside the Denver metro area. It will be held at from 12:30 to 4:30 on Tuesday, August 1st at the Arvada Municipal Center. If you would like to attend, please let me know and I can send you the information offline. And I imagine we'll be talking exactly about some of those topics in more detail. And as well as AT&T has asked for specific areas of concern with regards to coverage that they would like to be prepared to discuss with MAPS. So if you plan to attend and there are specific areas that you have questions about, shoot those to us ahead of time, and we will be sure to share that information with FirstNet and AT&T. I know that they're prepared at a minimum, Carl, to talk about the Carbondale Glenwood area, but we can provide them many other areas in the state too.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And to that point, if there's any other areas in the state, folks in the governing body that you know there's issues, especially if you have folks that are using AT&T and there's issues in terms of, you know, the maps not meeting up to what you're seeing on the ground, let us know, because that's one of the things we want to do is pick a few geographic areas and really drill down. We've been doing some drive testing. Carl's got a device. Kevin up in Eagle County's got a device. I was out driving around and just in our normal business. So we're trying to get some data in, and what we're doing is we're having Randy kind of sync up what the maps say versus what we're seeing on the field. So again, if there's a specific area in the state that you know to be problematic, please let us know, and we'll try to, you know, we'll see about incorporating that into those areas that we drill down on.
And for Brian, I did send Kim some areas statewide of problem areas, so we may want to incorporate.
I'll circle those back with signals. I haven't done that yet. So, yep.
Just a quick footnote on that too. We have
Randy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Randy.
Hold on.
That's all right. I got a question as far as coverage, and I talked to Kim a little bit about it, so I'm not sure I really understand. When they're putting those coverage maps together, maybe I just haven't seen it, what do they consider coverage? Are they talking, and what unit are they talking about? Are they talking about a handheld standing out there, or are they talking about a rooftop antenna on a mobile unit? Are they talking about the ability to text? Are they talking about streaming video? And I imagine that's why we're having that meeting next week, but I thought there'd been maybe a baseline of what that map kind of detailed.
That's a great question. And yeah, no, we do not know. We don't know that. That's the information we want to know about. You know, when you do coverage modeling, you make a lot of assumptions.
Right.
About, yeah, to your very point. And so what that's like, in our model, we did multiple layers. So we did handheld, we did, you know, outdoor, we did indoor, we did high powered antenna, we did. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so we don't know what those assumptions are that went into that model. That's kind of what we've been asking for, is what are the baseline assumptions? Yep. Go ahead, Randy.
Oh yeah, I was just going to say that we have a couple different data sets of information, and we have one set that was from the Colorado State Patrol that's very consistent across the state too. So if we're looking at you know, generally understanding things, and then others that may be much more localized.
Right, but that's an understanding of what we've modeled based on data local responders have, not how FirstNet has modeled. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Again, so if you desire to attend that meeting, please let me know. There are a few governance body people attending so far. Okay. Next item is that just a reminder that the portal comments are due to us if possible by the 28th, which is next Friday. It'll be then our team's responsibility to bucket, aggregate, deconflict, and determine what we feel is valuable feedback to FirstNet and AT&T, and we have to get that to them by close of business on August 4th, which is 2 weeks from tomorrow. And then we wanted to touch base a little bit on the final state plan outreach approach. So we are working with Signals to develop a toolkit. We've talked about it a little bit here and there, but that toolkit will include an assessment of the data relevant at a regional, if not county level. That would be important for those agencies to, most importantly, make a recommendation up to the governance body, who then makes a recommendation to the governor. But we also hope to create some tools to help you assess at what point you might adopt the FirstNet network in an opt-in situation. And that would be based on deployment of the network over multiple years, costs associated with the network, and an agency's ability to estimate their costs to migrate to FirstNet. That information we expect to deliver around the time the state plan is delivered, so hopefully late August to early mid-September timeframe. And we may ask a few of your agencies to help us test those tools before we launch them officially. And then Ed, you'll talk about the other piece in our outreach. Okay. Any questions on the plan update piece in general. Okay. On the state assumed RAN planning update, we'll share with you that we are very, very close to publishing phase 2 of the RFP, and that will allow the 2 qualified bidders to provide actual full-scale network and cost proposals for an alternative plan. Essentially, how that's going to work is we'll publish the RFP. They'll have around 30 days to respond. We'll reconvene the group of subject matter experts who assess the plan or the first phase of the RFP. They will select, they will determine if either entity is qualified for us to look at their network in comparison to the AT&T and Firstnet network. It's not definite that either one of them will provide a network we think could compare. We think that that's a possibility. If one of them is outstanding or stands out, maybe is the better term, and we believe that they are qualified to do that, then we would use that network proposal and cost proposal in the course of comparison with AT&T and Firstnet. We do have to still work with our procurement people about how we ensure the right folks in the state continue to see a view to that comparison network, considering that we have such a large group of stakeholders doing the state plan as well. So we'll provide you an update. As soon as that's published, we'll share it with all of you as well. And again, the only 2 folks that'll be qualified to bid that are the 2 that were qualified in phase 1. Any questions on the alternative planning? Okay. Our working groups continue to meet, and then just so you know, all of them were provided access to the state plan portal, and a number of them have were participating in the meetings we have been holding or will be holding in the future. And then the project updates, I just kind of went over the biggest piece, which will be the toolkit that we'll be providing to all of you and your agencies in the future with regard to making a recommendation. The other piece that Signals has been working diligently on is coverage assessments of AT&T coverage based on, again, the data set, State Patrol, and other data that we have in the state. And Tracy, we will be happy, we plan to cover it at the August 1st meeting, but we're happy to provide those files to AT&T and Firstnet as well.
Okay, I'd recommend that you would provide them in advance of that August 1st meeting so that they can, it'd be a more productive meeting.
Sure, absolutely.
And you can send those to Garrett.
Okay, will do. Any other questions on Firstnet update in general? I will add quickly, sorry, it wasn't on the agenda. There was a Senate hearing today with the Subcommittee on Commerce and Technology, and there were some questions asked around rural coverage, around the visibility of the contract to states and how states hold Firstnet and AT&T accountable for the network that they've committed to. And Mike Post made it clear that this is a commitment to the state, but the only contract that exists, again, is between AT&T and Firstnet. So the mechanism to hold the state, hold AT&T accountable for delivering or failing to deliver what is promised will all be managed through Firstnet. So I think that's a continued conversation we'll be having as well to understand the implications of that in the decision of the governor. So I will include the link if you have any desire to go out and listen to that at some point. That's all I have.
Okay. Outreach education update. Ed.
So we'll just give you some broad strokes. We are back out on the road. One of the beautiful things about how our team has matured is that we can divide and conquer because there is a lot to do. So just to give you some highlights, Chad and I were at the 13th Judicial District. Our team has also traveled the Northeast, the Southeast, the South Central, North Central, and on Monday we'll be at SLV, and on the 3rd we'll be in the South. So we're hitting those 9 all-hazard regions, making sure that everybody in the state has a chance to at least hear the information. And just so you'll know, right now, those of you who've seen our timeline, We're just basically juxtaposing the opt-in strategy to the opt-out and all the activities that are surrounding that. We have scheduled a meeting next week where our team will get together, and we will talk about the next 4 to 5 months and our strategy in approaching the enormous amount of work we have and the outreach that we need to do in that. So by our meeting next time for the governing body meeting, we will have a matured strategy for you that we'll present. I can just say that it's going to be a combination of a lot of things. Obviously, we would like to have face-to-face meetings with everyone, but it's just not practical to do 64 counties and 2 tribes. So you'll probably see some regional meetings so that anybody that's interested has a good opportunity to get to that meeting. We will use a heavy web presence so that even if you can't get into your specific regional meeting, you can listen to not only your regional meeting, but another meeting that's going on. We'll give different points of contact so that people can get involved in that. And of course, we will continue to use things like articles and anything that we have the bandwidth to do. So my ask of you all is if you could please continue to help us get into those things, whether it be an article or a conference, those things that you've helped us in the past. These next 4 and 5 months are critical to what we're doing in this initiative that we've been involved in for the last 4.5, 5 years. So that's basically that. We'll have more on that. Everything's going well with, we don't really have to do much on the website and the newsletter. It goes out every 28 to 31 days, and you'll see a new one here soon. And that's basically all I have at this point.
All right. Any questions for Ed?
Ed, this is Tracy. I counted of the 9 all hazard regions. Do I understand that you've been to 5 with 2 more coming up this week?
Yes. Well, this week and the following week, we've got one on Monday, San Luis Valley, the one in which Garrett was at. We'll be back there, just giving them our opt-in, opt-out. You know, just basically what's going on with our team right now, and then we'll be in the South on the 3rd of August. And all these meetings are on our calendar on the website, as well as the address if you'd like to attend.
Thanks.
Any other questions? All right, Joel, any update from AdCom?
Nah, we're just holding steady right now.
Okay. Legal issues. So we did get the final FCC report and order for the opt-out. It was very similar to what we talked about last month in their draft order. They did limit their role a little bit, but for the most part, I believe the FCC's report and order very good, very neutral. Essentially, what they want to do is play a very independent arbitrator of what the statute tells them their role is. So I think overall we're very pleased with how the FCC has interjected themselves into the process and how they're going to handle the process. Just to reiterate, basically what they've said is, you know, to satisfy the 180-day requirement, we basically have to have a bidder selected. We don't have to have a contract or a formal plan. We just have to have a bidder selected. And then once we have a bidder selected, we actually have 60 days after the 180 days to submit an actual plan. So I think given our time frame, if we were to choose to go down that path, I think we're in good shape with timing. So that was very positive. As part of the report and order, the FCC also requested feedback on what Firstnet calls an interoperability matrix. It kind of basically outlined what Firstnet's belief is in terms of what the list of technical requirements that apply to the interoperability test. We submitted our comments back to them. Basically, our comments are pretty grounded around the fact that that the FCC is the arbitrator of technical interoperability, and that once the FCC rules, you know, again, if we were to choose to go down this path, and the FCC rules our plan is technically interoperable, that basically the NTIA or Firstnet can't come back and kind of re-rule it, that they are the sole determiners of technical interoperability. We talked a little bit about focusing on the elements of the RAN, and that's another thing the FCC has said is they're just going to focus on the RAN, and which we concurred with, that basically anything that has to do with the RAN should be under the FCC's purview. So those were kind of our comments. The one other thing we asked the FCC to clarify was, if our plan is going to be held to the minimum technical requirements that were developed several years ago, how do we know that AT&T's network meets those minimum requirements as well? Kind of basically, if you're judging interoperability, you have to judge both systems on the same level. So what we said was, we asked the FCC to provide us feedback on, how they're going to ensure that AT&T is holding up their end of the bargain when it comes to technical interoperability, when they, if the time comes, they judge our plan against that. So we submitted those on Monday, I believe it was. Randy and Emil provided a lot of feedback on that, as well as Ken Feldman and Brandon Dittman are the Special Attorney Generals. So that's the legal update. Any questions? Okay. Old new business. Question for Tracy. I apologize, Tracy, for not sending this to you earlier. I totally forgot about it. I've been busy. And Don Nacarado just referenced it. So if you need to go back and get some more information, I completely understand. So the Director of Public Safety, Stan Hilke, was at an NGA event last week, and he said the impression that he got from AT&T, I believe AT&T presented to all the governors, was that in an opt-in scenario, that every jurisdiction would have to essentially establish a FirstNet help desk on their end to interface with the AT&T help desk. So, basically you have to have a technical support staff in your organization to interface with FirstNet. Is that what your understanding is, Tracy, or do you need to get more information on that, or can you speak to that at all?
So you said that the impression is that any agency that opts in, the impression is that they need to have their own help desk.
Yes.
Okay.
From what Stan said, that was the impression, was that even, if you're a small rural sheriff, let's say Chad's, organization, he would actually have to establish a technical help desk on his side that would interface with AT&T.
Okay, the answer to that is no, that's not a requirement. That an opt-out state does need to do their own help desk. An opt-in state, they may. So it's not like they have to, but if they choose to do that, they certainly can. But no, they do. An agency does not have to set up their own help desk.
Okay.
Question, Tracy, is that the state or each individual agency that would sign up?
Neither. There's not a requirement to establish a help desk, but you may if you choose to do that. So I think there's been a lot of those questions today.
Okay. So basically, Don, so any jurisdiction that wanted to, so if we opted in and CSP has a formal help desk, I mean, for you guys, it would really be a moot point because you guys already have a formal help desk system. So I think that's what Tracy is saying is you might. So in an opt-out situation, or I'm sorry, in an opt-in situation, Tracy, if you did have a small jurisdiction, anyone in that jurisdiction would be able to call AT&T's help desk directly to get end user support, basically.
Correct.
Okay, good.
We didn't have any other old or new business unless anyone on the line did.
Okay, so I wanted to.
Sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring something to our attention. The International Association of Firefighters president sent out a kind of a form letter with the intent of those being forwarded to the governor. It just so happens Mike Vernier, who is the Colorado Professional Firefighters president, is a firefighter with us at West Metro. So he brought to my attention to discuss. And after quite a lengthy conversation, he agreed to not just send it directly to the governor at this point. He assured me that he respected this board and this group and the due diligence we're doing and didn't want to kind of usurp that process. So I didn't want to bring that to our attention, but there are some very good points within that letter. I don't know if I sent it to Eric Tate. He says he's going to forward it to you, Brian. I don't know if he did, but
I think you did. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know if it's something maybe to attach it as the minutes to this.
Yeah,
We
we
have
do.
an awareness
Yeah.
of it versus the fact that, and some of it is just really things we discussed, but maybe, it wasn't even an opt-in or opt-out. They weren't getting that detail of trying to direct things, but they're just more making awareness of things like it doesn't replace OMR. It doesn't, make sure we're aware of that we need to flip in billing coverage. So they're very valid things. I think you probably talk about that when you go out there for that outreach, but I just want to make sure it's perhaps entered in a minute, so there's this awareness out there.
Yeah, well, we'll do that. Yeah, that's a good point. And to that point, I think there was another letter sent out, the IACP, I'm sorry, yeah.
International Associate Fire Chiefs.
Yes, yes. I get it all. Sorry. The IAFC did send a letter directly to the governor, urging the governor to opt in. It was addressed, Gary Breeze, the Colorado Fire Chiefs Association director, has discussed it with the IAFC, and they then did send a subsequent letter basically saying same thing as Mark just said, that we understand you have a board that is designated to help the governor make this decision, and we respect that. But we'd like, I think the letter said something like, we'd like you to consider the national implications of your decision, something like that. So, yeah, so there are some continued lobbying efforts from various organizations going directly to the governor. So I appreciate that, Mark, that your folks, brought that, to this group and let us, disseminate that and have that conversation.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we got that relationship with them. And
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's excellent.
And Joe Rivera, do you want to mention quickly the motion that was made at CACP recently?
Actually, yeah, and it's very similar to what the Fire Chiefs Association, actually was plagiarized from the Fire Chiefs Association. So we have the same resolution from our organization to let the governing board do its work.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, and just so everybody knows, these are all, as our program is encouraged in discussions with these groups, it's all only about allowing the governing body to do its due diligence. It has nothing to do with which way a decision should go. So make it clear to everybody on that.
Joe, did you just say that the police plagiarized from the fire guys?
Well, it's government, so there's not really plagiarism.
All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns for anybody?
Just one last notice while we can. APCO is August 13th through the 16th here in Denver. Our grants can fund your attendance if you desire, as long as you promise to attend mostly broadband-related topics. So keep that in mind. If you have any interest, we're happy to reimburse that. And then the next meeting is August 17th at 2:30 p.m.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. And again, if you want to be part of that meeting next on the 1st, the technical review meeting, please contact Kim. Or if you want to send one of your technical folks, it will be very technical. So if you have some technical folks.
And they have already been approved to see the state plan.
Yes, great. Yep. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim.
See you guys.